have a lot of stuff plugged in, Dan.
No, I don't.
Looks at cables.
Hey there, frackers. I'm Dan, otherwise known as Twisted View, and with me again I have...
Rich.
And
Pete.
I said and for you.
And what?
We watched episode 10. This episode is called Hand of God. So we're going to go around the room. This time we'll start with Rich. Overall thoughts and feelings on the episode.
Love the ending. Very appropriate for the title, Hand of God. Lots of development. Exactly the type of episode I like. And it was just good to see them come out on top.
Yeah.
For once.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Pete?
I think there was a lot of this is a very interpretive kind of episode. Lots of things that you can read into. I love the fact that it just started off with Laura tripping balls like mid conference, and I think that's going to come back and obviously haunt her, because she showed where she was like not able to answer, lack of eye contact. She'll get called out for being weak and all that shit. So it's great because it's not necessarily something that happened in the episode, but it'll come back and bite him in the arse, and a snake will bite you in the arse. So but yeah, I just thought it was one of those really good episodes where it was just the colony in dire straits. They were basically up against it. They needed a Hail Mary. But lots of coincidence and things to kind of look at and go, well, it could be this, it could be that. So it'd be good to pull that apart.
Excellent. So Rosalind seeing the snakes, as you pointed out, I think there's a double meaning in there. One, I took it at the time, which then they've ripped it apart, of her being in front of the reporters that's grilling her with questions, and then she's just seeing snakes when she's in front of the reporters. So I thought that was her mind just kind of replicating that for that. But also, as I say, it comes out as part of the overall prophecy, which brings in the theme of the episodes, and what I think is beginning to be a bigger theme, and tying back into Gaius Baltar, that of fate. How much control do they really have over the events that are transpiring?
It was good to finally see. I the reason why I said it was good to watch an episode where there was some serious development is, for the longest time, Gaius has been scientific man. He's been adamant God doesn't exist, and then right at the end of this, he was like literally coming to his own conclusion. You watch his brain
coming to
out,
God,
like being like, I am an instrument of God. I just thought it was such a radical shift in the storyline, and I can't wait to see where that sends his character and others. But then also the prophecy and how President Rosalind factors into that. And then what it maybe means for the show going forward. So yeah, lots to dive into.
Any thoughts from you on that stuff?
Yeah, because I wrote it at the time when Guy said I've just I've risked the whole colony on a hunch, and I wrote risk or act of God ? And then that bit at the end happened, and it was just like, okay, well, it really... And a lot of the things that I'm writing here is coincidence, confirmation bias, because they're saying it was a scripture that was written, and they're trying to fit everything into that to make it fit, because they need something. And I think where Gaius was, he realised that he made a massive misjudgment of error in just going, that was it. Then he was like, I'm trying to justify this in some way. I'm trying to justify my own ego and arrogance about what I just did. And then he's trying to now go, and now he's trying to say, well, actually, I'm an instrument of God. If all of you believe in God, then I'm going to become that agent. I'm going to be what you need. And that's why I'm saying coincidence and bias seems to play very heavily into his development here.
Yeah, obviously we're basing this on, if 6 is real, then he's being guided. The choices have somehow got merit, and you can sort of go. There's a logic that he's playing off to make these decisions. But if she in fact is completely made up and she's not real, and all of this is in his head just to help him make these decisions. I mean, yeah, he is being guided by fate.
I am an instrument of God.
Yeah, now that's a good development. And there is nothing you can say or do. I mean, he's winging it every time. So that's what makes it more intriguing. That's sort of what makes it more fascinating to watch. What obviously is not in the hands of the gods is Apollo's ability now to fly a ship, maybe as well as Starbuck. I don't know, or make decisions as well as Starbuck. And maybe her place is actually not in the cockpit, but actually on the strategy board, because she's also leveled up there as well.
Yeah, so I made a note of that saying being in the big leagues, this is Starbuck's trial by fire. So she's been very, very used to being in the cockpit, and she's part of the reason they bring her into the strategy is her out of the box thinking, which comes back to the fact that she's the maverick pilot. She's the hothead, the one that will. And now suddenly you see she sees what it's actually like. Go, right, it's not your life you're putting in danger, it's everyone else's. Now how do you feel? And suddenly that cocksure, ready to do anything attitude has gone out the window, because she realizes even though she's not the one in the line of danger, technically she's got more power and also more consequence to decisions she makes, because it's not her life anymore, it's other people's instead of hers.
I thought there were some incredible lines in this particular episode. That's why I liked it so much. I can't remember all of them. I just remember the one where Adama goes,
Silence never asked us what we wanted.
Silence never asked us what we wanted.
Yeah.
There's something else he said after that. I can't remember what it was.
Welcome to the big leagues.
But it was such a powerful line. It was like, and you could just see Starbuck's character like go up a level, like, because she realised what he is dealing with on a daily basis versus what she has been.
Yeah,
and
also
very good
around the fact that he said like your power is driven from being in the cockpit. When that's taken away from you, you've got to be able to use your power elsewhere.
Yeah.
So he's helping her to see that she actually has a great mind that's not just driven around her technical ability and her instinct in the cockpit. It's like, what can you do elsewhere? And I think that's really vital, because that's what any good leader will do, is it'll take you and say, right, I will push you into a situation which you don't like. I mean, I go through it at work on a regular basis. We probably all do. Like, a good leader will push you. And that's exactly where Adama shows that, and also gives her the confidence to be that person.
Yeah, it's good.
But I did like the punch the bully in the face, Mark. I thought that was really good, and I think when we think about like sci-fi tropes, I also thought about Ender's Game in that regard, because Ender basically punches a bully and pretty much gives him brain damage, and they say, why did you do it? And he said, well, if I just hit him, he would have come back, so I had to hit him hard enough that he didn't come back. And that's what they were going on about in this, about hit the silence hard enough to be like, yeah, absolutely. And even at the end where she goes, have at them or kill them all, they were like, make sure they don't come back.
Tell our people to pursue and destroy.
Affirmative. Strike one, tear him up.
That's not what he said.
Yeah, that's not what he said at all.
It also brings back to an old adage which everyone says all the time but doesn't really think about it, which is fortune favours the bold. And I think that shows true here, and that's kind of what Adama was getting back at. It goes, we've been on the run, and continually on the run. At a certain point, if we're going to start winning, we've got to throw some punches, not just keep trying to escape them being thrown at us.
Yeah.
And I like the way the episode played out and was filmed, because I didn't see that little secret plan coming out.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask about that. Like, did you actually see that coming?
I didn't. I actually thought, okay, the plan's just been screwed up again. Now they've got...
And part of that is because they've used 9 episodes showing these guys just get hit and hit and hit. So in your mind, you're just expecting.
I accepted it. I accepted it at that point. So it's very good.
It's good writing, actually.
I knew that there was going to be a twist, because he even said Starbuck's out of the box thinking, and she's always unconventional. You look what she did with the Cylon Raider. She always does something different.
But that's what makes it such great writing, because what they've done is they've basically like with all shows, most shows will give you the expectation that the good guys are going to win, they're going to have a plan, the plan will work at all times. This show's been doing the opposite episode after episode. We were just watching them get battered and rarely winning. But you're right. So they laid the groundwork there, out of the box thinking. They only showed us part of the plan being put together, didn't reveal the rest of the plan, so that they could do this twist reveal. But it's a twist in the very nature that they won for once, and they got to celebrate at the end, and there wasn't...
Yeah, no, it's good.
And there was no second...
Yeah,
boot about to drop. They just got to celebrate and actually win for once, which I think is also part of the reason why it makes it so satisfying.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you don't want them to get their heads kicked in so badly they can't do anymore. I mean, they've literally had their heads kicked in for like the last 10 episodes. They had little wins here and there, but they started off like, you know, what they've lost and how they're just surviving. You know, this is about their survival, and they've just done something monumental.
I think,
yeah.
And a key part of that, going back to, like you say, we're talking about, in order for that to happen, key people needed to be taken out of their usual places. So Starbuck would usually be in a cockpit.
Yeah.
Now, if she had her way, that's exactly where she was going to be. But she only wasn't, going back to twists and pulling tricks, was because she wasn't the only one with out-of-the-box thinking.
Yeah.
Because Adama, being a great leader, didn't just go up to her and tell her, you're not doing that. He showed her why she can't.
Yeah.
Using, again, outside-of-the-box thinking in terms of how he's leading. Then you had the other part of it, the other thing that made it work, was to do what they needed to do to make it work. You needed a pilot willing to risk it all. Now, that should have been Starbuck usually, and the pilot that usually plays it safe is Lee. So Lee had to become Starbuck to make the plan actually work in terms of how he treated the situation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's great to see him start thinking outside the box, you know, getting rid of his normal military convention. Because other than that, he's a straight arrow. He, you know, like you said, he doesn't break rules. He'll stick to his plan, you know. And I think I just love the whole graphic around all of that as well, like the way they animated it and just the way that it looked. You know, you're going in the tunnel and the way they kind of framed it around, you kind of almost sitting there like thinking, "Fuck, okay, what's going on, man?" Even
as far as like where they're showing you the Vipers being released and they're upside down, it turns it around, and then you see the tabletop and it's turning that around along with it. It's just great filming.
But yeah, I thought Lee was just like a really good thing for him, because
I did think we had a bit of a Luke Skywalker trench run moment going on there, but it was good.
It's good to borrow from other troops, and I think this for him is now that thing of, because they were saying, you know, Starbuck is the better pilot, and it's like, well, actually no, he's the CAG for a reason, and he, in that moment, he stepped up and just absolutely delivered big. And I think one thing that I also thought was really good was when he chucked the bombs in and they're going away and he's looking. It's just like, hello,
well, I think
bombs,
I think that's done more for the audience to play off Gaius, because you're still questioning has this idiot got it right? Yeah, and of course it does go off.
Yeah. And even funny enough, even after he's because there's something I also had, which we'll bring back up again for the rest of me, but the fact that he comes out there going, I just stuck my finger on a peg. I have no idea if that's right or wrong.
Yeah, he just kind of went, and that one.
Boop. Happened to be right. It's funny that you actually mentioned the trench run, because in the trench run...
I mean, this is literally the trench run.
Luke obviously has to use the Force.
Yeah,
so
of course,
he takes
all of that.
Takes the thing out, going, right, use the Force. And I put here that Lee had to take a leap of faith when going into the tunnel.
Yeah.
Because, as Guy was pointing out, the scientist going, no idea, he's crazy, what a madman. And I thought it was funny that you had the superstition from the lighter, from Adama saying, it's my father's lighter. He said that the only time he ever won in court was when he took it with him, so I'm giving it to you. So you've got that sense of faith and superstition and stuff around that, and then likening that to using the Force. He's using that lighter, the superstition, as he goes through the tunnel. I found all that kind of interesting as a nice...
It's familiar,
and maybe even slightly an homage, even if not really intentionally done. They kind of did, in a way, do that. They seem to now be toying with fate in various different ways. Some of their actions, even as far as those chess pieces manoeuvring from one to the other into different positions, Starbuck becoming the mind of it, Lee becoming the tool of it, and so on and so forth. Is this all kind of toying around with fate because these are not their usual places? This is not where they would usually stand on the board.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I when Apollo threw Adama that lighter, you know, that's a significant step in their relationship, the trust and all that sort of stuff. But the bit I couldn't help thinking about was the fact that at this point, if you wanted to kill Adama off, you could, because you now got Apollo, as you say,
stepping into the Starbuck shoes,
and you've got Starbuck stepping into the Adama sort of
and you can make
commanding shoe.
That, and her relationship with Ty, like if you did kill Adama off, you've still got a very...
You've starting to get something, a bit there. So essentially, you're getting the elements of Adama, you know, in place if Adama does disappear. Plus, you had that hug with Starbuck and President Roslin at the end, like as if they were like
awkward hug.
You know, so you're setting yourselves up for a future where he could be removed. So yeah, I think just lots and lots of development.
Or maybe you're just kind of elevating these characters for
the
future that they're trying to work towards eventually. Is that they won't eventually have it. Their goal is to get to Earth. They're going to need future leaders, right? It's not just about Adama dying. Although yes, succession planning is a good idea.
No, I'm saying
just in general.
They're leveling up, but this character Adama is pivotal to the survival of the human race. And you're seeing characters that, as you've already pointed out, wouldn't normally be in these places, moving themselves into positions that allow, from a storyline point of view, to take the lead. And you can't have 5 characters leading; you can only have maybe 2 or 3. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, it's great. I mean, what have we got now? 3 episodes left for the season, and
yeah, we've got 3.
We've got to see how Fate and
especially when
what position some of these characters are going to be left in.
And I think fate's and religion's becoming a bigger thing. So as we also saw with Roslyn speaking to, I forget her name, but the kind of the priestess woman, and she's like, "Have you read the books of Epiphany?" And then she starts reeling off all the bits and bobs. So it's like, and just so happens to be very much lead in that way. Leading us down to Caprica again.
Oh yeah.
Once again, just one small scene where I'm beginning to think that now that Hilo's got laid, his entire story arc is him looking for new places to go shag. Because it's like, oh, look at this little area of like hay and stuff. Let's go up here.
Or maybe what he's now that he's seen 6, he's going to experience some delayed post-nut clarity because he's just like, I've got some in a hayloft, and now I've just seen a woman who died leading an army of robots that are trying to hunt us down and kill us. By the way, why is my girlfriend so manic? Why is she vomiting?
Well, and that brings me back to, even though I made the comment earlier, obviously,
yeah, we did.
Being sick. There's no actual...
She's no way she's pregnant.
Well, the reason I'm bringing it is because they're flicking through... He flicked through in that scene all the reasons like, oh, have you been taking your meds? Oh, is it something you weigh? Is it... And I just feel like it's all very...
I'm sitting here thinking...
And bringing me back to, obviously, the other, as in 6, and if we go back to previous episodes when they were talking stuff and we were saying, what are they trying to do here? What is the end goal, and why were they trying to get them all like a nice little cabin in the woods and all the amenities? And
they want to make a baby.
They're constantly just running away, and it's like I'm guessing they're going to get caught at the end of this season. I mean, that surely that's what's going to happen. But I don't really know. I suppose at the moment I am intrigued. Every time I see their scene pop up, I'm like, okay, what's going to happen now? But I kind of expect them in the back of my mind. They run and they hide, and that's the season done.
Run, hide, smash.
Bang, bang, bangity bang. I said bang, bang, bangity bang.
And that's the sorry, yeah, that's the.
But no, I think they're setting them up to try
smash.
And reproduce.
Oh, sorry, I mean,
run, hide, and ride.
Right, hide and ride. Run, hide, and ride. Yeah, simple. But it could be, maybe they're going for the emotional thing, but it also biologically. If they're trying to replicate humans in every sense and they believe themselves the agents of God, that is exactly what human beings did. Is that, they reproduce. So it could be that they're trying to,
She pumps out a toaster, I will not be happy.
Can you imagine that? What is it, a boy or girl?
Ping.
It's a T-foul.
No, Rich, come on, don't be silly. They are toasters, so if anything, like if he's a human and she's silent, it'll be like a Breville or something.
Breville, yeah. It's a sandwich maker.
Oh my God.
Sandwich.
Yeah, it's sort of like, so what have we got here? Oh, we got one of these blenders. Out. Who have you been cheating on me with? There was one thing.
George Foreman, get out of here.
Morphy Richards. God, I'm better than that.
I put my name on that.
Sort of stamp on the bottom.
Yeah.
Kenwood? No. There was one thing before, like my final note.
Yep.
So I know you're going to say, any
final thoughts.
Final thoughts. What was it with the pan flute Irish music?
Why is the Titanic music being played?
in the like the post.
Well, maybe you didn't see this, but in space, Leonardo DiCaprio floated on a log through space past the ship.
Okay.
And they started playing the
What's
Titanic
the
music.
Titanic got to do with pan flute music? I don't recall pan flutes in the end of the Titanic.
That's what you do when you have a heroic victory. That's what you,
I
or
don't
before
think
you
expect
go,
Celine Dion at
before
some
you
point to
before you
start.
go off
Is it
for
though?
a, yeah,
Is it though?
yeah.
Tell me in what post-battle, win, where in a battle-winning scene
They do it in Lord of the
experience
Rings all the time.
No, it isn't. That's horns. Pan flutes. I'm talking pan flutes and Irish, little flute didgeridoo things.
Didgeridoo things,
Right.
Australian.
But anyway, I just no.
Have you not heard of it?
Why is it? Because we've been so used to having these
Very
suspenseful-
strings based.
yeah, tribal drums, big, and then it's just this, and I'm like,
Sometimes, Pete,
just-
you need a space flute.
it's like it's like South Park and the Peruvian pan flutes. It's
Need to
like,
speak to Bear
why?
McCreary, ask him what he was up to.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, and I mean it was different, but I was like, really? Does that? It kind of fit and it kind of didn't, because it was very elating. But
I think I know what you mean. As in, like, it was strangely like with the previous episode where I noticed, like, we were talking sitcom, and I felt like the music in the background was very sitcom-y esque. It was very like plinky, and in this way, again, I think maybe because they've gone with something that's, like, say, a little bit more relating, because for the first time, they're actually not on the back foot. In fact, not only are they not on the back foot, they were coming up with the plan of attack. Mm-hmm. And so maybe there was that change and alteration in style to fit.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It felt different, not just because they were winning, but the music and everything else. So yeah, maybe that's the sort of tone they decided to go with.
It's definitely something I'm going to be keeping an ear out, especially towards the end of the season as well, as this kind of what it develops into. Because I'm at the point now where, having seen this before, I'm thinking ahead, and I'm like, I cannot remember pretty much anything. Little things crop out, and I go, "Oh, remember that." But other than that, I can't remember what happens. So
Right.
I'm in this really good space where I'm like, I know what happens.
Yeah, broadly, same.
I'm just like,
I'm sort of getting to episode like this. This is an episode I completely forgot existed until we got to this episode, and I was like, I remember this one.
And we should celebrate the fact that Hot Dog lived.
Well, actually, which actually brings me on to just before we end, before we get to Death Note, we need to kind of raise one for the fact that Chuckles did not.
Oh, Chuckles.
I didn't know he was even on the board.
You had Chuckles, Cat, and Hot Dog with the
Oh,
three.
yeah.
You look really upset, man. Like,
But Chuckles going. To be fair, yeah, all these vipers going down. Yeah,
I think he's got kind of like that name because we're talking about Chuckles, and we're not.
Didn't he-
We're not chuckling at the fact that Chuckles chucked it.
didn't he? No, but didn't he? Didn't his spectrum of acting go from "I'm hit" to they didn't even. He just literally went.
I mean, to be fair, he did get shot in the heart. I mean, I wouldn't expect him to.
No, he looked down, but it was almost like they were like. What? like it was just like waiting for the
He's
cue.
like Steve Buscemi in Big Daddy, where it's just like, I'm just like, oh.
like we've got 30 seconds. That's all you got. Make it count. I'm hit. They're gone.
Could have won an Emmy for that.
Final thoughts from you, Rich?
I'm eager to see where the next episode goes, because obviously we're now
Getting into the end game of the first season.
end game, but also the human race are on a win, so we'll have to see what the next move is.
They get wiped out.
Is the space flute just in Pete's head, or is that really a thing? I don't know.
Am I going to have to do some research after this and sort of break down all the instruments in each different... Oh, okay.
Make a Battlestar Galactica playlist.
Yeah.
That'd be weird.
And what happens to Gaius now that he's the hand of God? Although that's
based on the last episode,
say,
he'll give himself the hand.
I was about to say, he's had the hand job of God, yeah. Hand job from God. I'd say that's...
Oh, God.
I can see the next episode being like, I am the hand of... Oh. Just looking...
Like, excuse me, I'm going to have a divine intervention.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's like, guys, we can't take him seriously. Speaking of Gaius,
Well, before we get to that, the Death Note then. So, bet you never thought Chuckles would be on the Death Notes.
No, I didn't.
Along with other named pilots that only got named
Well,
literally this episode.
I'm gonna need therapy after Chuckles.
I'm just going to add just so I'm covered for the future. I'm going to put miscellaneous vipers.
Misc pilots.
Miscellaneous vipers, because ultimately people are going to croak it and I will have completely forgotten who they are. So R.I.P. to the miscellaneous vipers. And then also Adama's definitely on there.
The Beehive.
Adama. Oh,
Possibly
are you
for the end of
officially
the
putting
season as
Adama?
well. Possibly for the end of the season.
Oh, big
going-
prediction.
I'm actually going big on this one, yeah.
Oh, finally, we're going to get some drama out of you.
After I got criticised for my last
Did Beehive
lack of
survive?
predictions.
I
Possibly
need
pour
to
one out for
Google who
Beehive.
died.
Okay, miscellaneous vipers, and Adama is going on there, and he's going doubling
Adama,
down. End of season 1.
End of season 1 with the toaster.
Wow.
Okay, so it was, but where? All right, we've got Adama by the toaster in the.
With what weapon? How
Well,
is
the toaster's the
gonna do
weapon.
The
it?
toast. No, I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna take a bullet or a knife or something
Okay,
for
bullet.
someone. Where a Cylon's trying to kill someone. I think he's gonna
Okay.
probably protecting Apollo.
Where is it
Where?
gonna happen?
Yeah. Is it CIC? Is it in his room? Is it on a
No,
planet?
it's
Is
in
it
it's in
Viper?
the
Is it-
Galactica. It's in the Galactica.
It's in the Galactica. Where in the Galactica?
And then
in the Messel?
And then something's going to happen about that lighter. That lighter is going to come back. Like he's going to give him the lighter. Something like that.
I feel like the Death Note should just encompass, future thoughts,
Well, yeah.
future predictions.
Something
well,
that,
this is what I'm interested in. I want to drill down on this. So
Something
now that we've
like
got
that.
some confident.
now that I've seen certain things,
yeah,
I've
we've
got
completed-
context to
Yeah, Battlestar Cluedo. How will it work out?
I've got some things to play. Yeah,
It's the most action the Death Note's seen.
I like it.
Yeah, there you
Nice, excellent. So, Gaius
The world's brightest rat.
and the Ratometer. How do we feel like he was doing this episode? Because I know last episode you whacked him up to a 9. You were still on 7. We ended on an 8.
I have to bring him down a peg because he got something right.
Okay.
Saved the human race again. I mean,
No.
for me, he's going back down to a 7.
Even by luck.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
take
But the point is, if they hadn't questioned him, and if he hadn't guessed, and if he hadn't had a divine intervention from God, they'd be dead. Maybe he's an instrument, maybe he isn't. But the point is that he
Other
played.
people might refer to that as a tool.
Yeah, or utter weapon.
He played. Yeah, he played a part in shaping their destiny, and they came out favourable. So he has to go up in that
I mean,
sense.
I would make the argument that if he is indeed the hand of God or divine, surely he should be saintly.
Nope. Nope.
Okay.
Because you're divine doesn't mean to say you're right. However, I believe that Gaius has just given himself another justification for what he does, for his ego.
Yeah.
This is another avenue for his ego. I'm putting him up.
So you think this is worse than
This
the
is
previous
worse. This is actually worse.
I think after the next,
I'm not tracking.
I think
I am definitely not tracking. But I know. I think that he's clearly he
What
knows
evidence
what
have
he's
you-
done.
have
Everything
you-
he has done is affecting him. Like the guy is in fact getting more deluded.
Yeah, I suppose I did.
starting to believe.
Yeah.
But
And now,
but is he getting
and
more
now
ratty?
he's going to make more rash decisions based off that he is an instrument of God. It's not luck.
I feel like you're upping his rattiness for something he hasn't yet done.
He's
That's
already done it.
exactly what I was about to say. You haven't seen him.
He made
do
a
this
guess. He didn't do it off of knowledge.
Which is why I was going like, how do we feel about that? But
And now he's gone. I've done something great, which was purely a guess, and everything he does, he's just going to fling it out there, fuck up, and it'll be like, oh, but I'm an agent of God, and it's just like
I'm not
yeah.
disagreeing with that, but I am going to disagree with putting it up purely because I do think that actively falsifying the results of the Cylon meter just so that he has an easier life is way rattier than going, I think it's here, but I don't actually know.
I didn't disagree. I don't disagree with that. I said I empathise with his position, where he'll be stuck doing that for the next 60 years.
But you want to put him up on the Ratometer, and I'm saying that was a rattier moment.
We can leave him where he is, but I mean, I don't think...
I think that he's taking his current feelings towards what he's done, and he's just going, well, no, I'm just going to turn myself into an agent of God because everybody else seems to be on the religious hype train. Like I said, confirmation bias. He's taking everything that he's doing and going, I can justify this by something that isn't provable. And otherwise I go, I'm an agent of God. But fine, keep it at a 7 because, it'll be interesting to see.
Well,
if
he actually ended
can go
an
back
8
down.
last time, so he's saying 7, so he's
Keep
brought it
it
down
on
a
an 8.
peg.
Keep it on an 8.
7.5, split the difference?
7.5 then. We'll compromise at 7.5. But I'm just saying, I just think,
Confirmation bias, he can prove it. Did you see his finger?
that was pure luck. He just went like that. I could go up to that poster and go, there's the Hulk.
There was at least 10 seconds of him looking at stuff before he went the big one.
Yeah, because if he had turned around and just gone bang like that, no.
I was a little bit confused as to when he was looking at it. They seemed confused as to why he didn't know. I'm like, you're just showing this guy
everything,
like a map and going, where is it? And expecting him to just know these things. I thought that was a bit odd.
It's also the fact that it was just dots on a map.
Yeah.
Makes
So we're going to leave it 7.5 and we're going to move on now to the Cylon detector. To which I'm now going to call Rich out a little bit because last time he added a Dharma.
Did I?
You added a Dharma to the Cylon detector. So now would you now say that, being that you think he's going to be dead by the end of season 1, would you now take him off the Cylon detector? Or is he going to be a dead Cylon at the end of season 1?
Ooh.
This is what's known as a catch-22.
Quite.
Oh, no.
Were you hedging your bets?
Cylon.
I mean, he can be both.
Okay, so here's what I think. I think he will be dead in all the ways that I said by the end of the season. However, if he lives, he's definitely a Cylon.
Wow. Is that like a heads I win, tails you lose?
And that's my impression of Guy Spalter.
Is that a heads I win, tails you lose kind of conflict?
That's the kind of if he didn't die, obviously he's a robot.
Okay.
Alrighty. Right. And anybody else? Is there anyone else that's kind of you're thinking?
No.
Excellent.
Yeah, completely.
Right. Any more?
Nope.
One more thing. When they found this resource, I can't remember what it was called.
Tillium.
Yeah,
Tillium. What was it called?
Tillium
to do the hyper jumps. Boomer and the other guy who now has a girlfriend,
Crash down,
who's in the little ship. Is that 2 for 2 for him for finding stuff? Is that way?
Yeah,
he found the water.
Yeah, found the water and then found this.
I wonder if he's
they even made a joke around it.
No, he.
What if he finds a third?
Find the water. She did.
Well, they made a joke about that he found the water, even though we know that she saw it, but actually,
right, yeah.
I think he got the
yeah.
So it's a really Boomer, is it?
What I just thought really funny was the fact.
I like the fact he called her a bus driver.
We're heroes! Yeah!
We're heroes! Never fails! Great, Boomer! The second that I score, the bus driver jumps in and takes the credit.
Okay, the one that we suggest...
I just love the fact that he slapped the monitor and then a few seconds later he found it. It was just like, we've all been there, buddy. Although I think it's been a long time since any of us have had to hit the top of our TVs to get a good signal.
True.
Thanks. Praise be unto digital TV.
I also think you're aging yourself a little bit there and providing the audience with an age that you had.
I'm proud of it.
Excellent. So say we all.
So say we all.